Welcome to the Fearlessly Authentic Sash and Soul podcast, the show that goes beyond the stage, prioritizing a healthy mindset, overall well-being, and triumphs in the pageant journey. In each episode, we dive into the transformative power of embracing authenticity fearlessly.
From mindset mastery and self-care strategies to success stories that inspire, this podcast is your go-to guide for navigating the pageant world with confidence and resilience. Join us as we embark on a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and celebrate the stories of those who fearlessly embraced their authenticity on the path to pageant success. I'm Lila Sherry.
And I'm Raeanna Johnson. Welcome to Sash and Soul. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sash and Soul. It's Raeanna here. I am riding solo this week for the first time. I do not have my fabulous co-host, Lila Sherry, with me. For those of you that may not know, haven't been following, Lila Sherry is our current Miss Wisconsin 2023. On June 22nd, she will be giving up her title of Miss Wisconsin and concluding an incredible roller coaster of a year that has come with so much success and so much growth and self-empowerment and inspiration to others that I think anyone could have ever wanted for her. It's coming to an end. And she is a little crazed right now with a lot going on. She's had a lot of appearances in the last couple of weeks. She is on her way to a weekend of appearances before she heads to Miss Wisconsin Week on Monday. So I'm so proud of her, you guys. And I know just given the feedback that we've received from so many of you, I know how much you adore her as well and appreciate her transparency, her realness, and her ability to really take her experiences and turn them into helpful bits of information that all of you can learn from and be inspired by as well. So I'm so incredibly proud of her. I could literally just spend this entire episode talking about Lila and how much I love her and how proud I am of her and just how grateful I am that she reached out to me and that we built an amazing client coach relationship that has morphed into this amazing friendship and partnership within Sash and Soul. And I truly feel so privileged and so honored. And I'm just so grateful. So Lila, I'm proud of you. And I'm so excited for the next steps beyond Miss Wisconsin. Miss Wisconsin is certainly not the peak, not even close. You have so much more to offer the world. And I think we're all just really itching to see what you do next. So congratulations on this year. Proud of you. Love you. And can't wait to have you back as my co-host here next week. So moving into today's episode, this is really timely as well. This topic that I want to talk about today is all about community service. And the reason that I want to talk about community service today is because tomorrow on June 15th is my older brother Tyler's birthday. And he would have been 30. Oh my gosh, let me make sure that I have it correct. He'd be 30. If I'm 34, he would be 37. Tomorrow. But we lost Tyler when he was 18 after he had graduated high school. And I haven't really had a chance to dive into this story on this podcast. So I want to take some time today to talk a little bit more about my family's story of loss in losing my brother Tyler when he was 18. I was 15. I want to talk about that and how that was really the driving force behind the community service work that I did within pageantry, specifically within Miss America, in my years competing. So I have a whole bunch of tips and tricks and insight for you as you are developing and building your own community service program, your platform, your initiative, whatever it is that you call it in your pageant system. And there's 5 specific things that I want to talk about today. So just to give you a little bit of a heads up, we're going to talk about starting, just getting started. We're going to talk about building what you've started. We are going to talk about change and adjusting as needed. We're going to talk about really following your passion and releasing anything that doesn't serve you anymore. And finally, we're going to talk about celebrating all of that. So, really excited to dive in. So, the first point is just getting started. Let me take you back. In 2007, I was preparing for my very first local competition in the Miss America program. It was the local title of my hometown. Miss Holman was the title that I was competing for. I was 17, and a couple of years before that was when I first heard about the Miss America opportunity. And I was watching a dance teacher, more of a peer of mine that was competing. And I was sitting in the audience thinking about, man, like I would love to do this. I love performing, um, would love to get on the stage. I need the scholarship money, but what would my platform be? And at the time, I struggled with some body image stuff. I had a little bit of a struggle with mental health, didn't quite understand suicide, but like always had kind of an interest in depression and suicidality. So in my head, sitting in the audience, just little 15-year-old me, 14, I think 14 at that time, 14-year-old me, I was just kind of racking my brain of like, what am I passionate about? What would I be interested in? So that was where it was getting started for me. Before anything major happened in my life, that is the loss of my brother, I was sorting out what I was interested in that time. The following year, when I came back to watch Miss Holman again, sitting in the audience, was the year that my brother had died. All right, you guys, I am not going to lie to you. I literally just stopped recording and started recording again, took a little break because I have not talked about this in so many years. And there was a reason that I walked away from working in the behavioral health and addiction treatment industry. And it was because it was no longer healthy for me to keep reliving the past and talking about what had happened to my family when my brother Tyler died back in 2005. And I think what's making it even more difficult right now is that last April, I lost my younger brother in a car accident. So I'm still really struggling with grief. I'm trying to be really raw and transparent and vulnerable with all of you right now. But I'm also in my head thinking, don't do more harm than good. I don't ever want for what I say to trigger you or hurt you in any way. So some of the things that I may say and talk about today might be really difficult to listen to. So I just want to kind of put that out there right away. I am going to breathe and do my best to, again, just be really real with you because this really is important. And I want all of you to hear the progression of my platform in pageantry. And hopefully you then can gain some insight into what direction you want to go with yours. So I kind of left off on talking about sitting in the auditorium at Miss Holman and trying to figure out what I want to do with my own initiative someday when I start competing. And it was after my brother Tyler died that I came to complete clarity as to what I wanted to do. And so my mission when I started competing and when I won Miss Holman in 2007 was to be out in the community as much as possible, talking about my family's story, trying to prevent this tragedy from happening to others. My brother Tyler was addicted to methamphetamine for roughly 3 months before he ended his life on August 4th of 2005. And because we didn't know anything about methamphetamine, it was really early in like when methamphetamine really came out. So we didn't know a whole lot about what methamphetamine was. So how were we supposed to know the warning signs and anything like that? I wanted to be a voice to educate and to use this story and to really keep my brother's memory alive through sharing that story. I had a high school teacher that was telling me I was speaking at a college level in my speech class. And so that gave me a lot more inspiration and it gave me a lot more confidence to actually get out there and speak and share this story that I had to share. And so when I launched my program as Miss Holman, my one goal, and we're going to talk about goal setting here in a second, but my one goal was that I wanted to reach as many people as possible. So that was my overarching goal. And then within that, I kind of figured out as I went how I was able to go about doing that. So I simplified it for myself from the get-go. Um, I knew I had a voice. I knew I had a platform. I knew I had a title that was going to get me through the doors of schools and community organizations. And so I was going to use that to leverage and really accomplish that goal that I had for myself at just 17 years old. So, when you're just getting started with your own community service initiative, the first thing that you want to start thinking about is really, what are you interested in? What is an experience that you've had that motivates you? What do you like learning about that you may become passionate about? What do you maybe want to do for a career? And even go as far as like, what have you seen other people do that inspires you? This is where comparison is okay. When you're getting inspiration from others, it's really okay to look at them and see what they're doing and kind of look at yourself too and see if it's something that you might be interested in as well. But only go as far as that, because anything that is making you feel yucky about yourself, or like you'll never get there, or never going to do enough, or will never be as passionate or intelligent about that topic as that person, is the negative zone of comparison. We don't want to go there. So as long as it's something that's inspiring you or helping you kind of pick apart what you do and don't want to do, then that type of comparison is okay. So when you are picking a topic, we're thinking about like, what am I interested in? What am I motivated by? What am I passionate about? And all of these things should help start to form the very baseline of your credibility within your program. So back when I was talking about what I was maybe going to do before Tyler died and thinking about mental health related things, eating disorders, empowering women, those were all things that I was slightly interested in and could leverage some of that interest to start building more intelligence and ability to speak on that, and then therefore building my credibility. So it's kind of like, think of it as building blocks. We got to build that foundation and then continue building up. And the wider your base, the more secure and sturdy it's going to be as you continue building on top of it. Fair warning, when you are picking a topic for your community service initiative, please don't pick a topic that you think that the judges are going to like, or that somebody else tells you to pick because the judges will probably like it. I think it's good to listen to feedback about the way that you're approaching your platform or your initiative and your goals, because sometimes on paper it looks really wide and broad, and it's really hard to follow as a judge when you're reading through it. And then therefore we know for you, it's going to be a lot harder for you to actually put this into action and get things done. Remember how I talked about I had one specific goal and I really worked on just various little things that were going to help me towards achieving that goal of reaching as many people as I possibly could. Simplify and take feedback from people about simplifying your topic, but make sure that you are not catering to what you think other people might find interesting or that you think will be impressive to other people. I think that is one huge setback that I see clients doing all the time when they come to me and they're talking about their initiative, especially younger clients, maybe teens or those that are just getting started in pageantry, is when they come to me with platforms that they think are going to do really well in competition. And personally, I think you can tell already, like, I'm very driven by passion. I'm very driven by the things that are going to motivate and inspire you and that you can do the most good with because you have that energy behind you propelling you. And so for those that come to the table with an initiative or a platform that they just think looks impressive, that really gives me a yucky taste. So think about that for yourself. Once you land on your topic, there's a few things that you need to do to just kind of start brainstorming and getting yourself rolling with how you're going to roll out this initiative. Number one, what, if anything, have you accomplished with this particular topic or interest? That could be classes that you've attended. It could be community service events that you've done. It could be just your own personal interest. It could be lived experience. And for me, that was my credibility. That was the foundation for my platform when I got started, was losing my brother. And from there, I built off of that just interest, and my passion was the baseline of my credibility, and I built it from there. So once you have figured out what you've accomplished and start figuring out what you've already done regarding this topic and the information that you already have gathered about it, then you can start to kind of assess, all right, there's three components to this. What are the problems or the major problem that you are addressing? What are the impacts of those problems? And what are the resolutions that you are proposing to do with your work? It may help to think of all the resolutions and then look at them all and figure out which ones you are feeling most excited about. Again, to narrow your scope and to make sure that you're doing things that you really enjoy doing. Um, those are the three. The problems, impacts, and resolutions is always what we start with in my program. So you are literally getting coaching through this podcast episode right now, because I think that is the most simple way to articulate what it is that you're doing and why, is to say, this is the problem. This is all the ways that it impacts the community, our country, individuals, families, students, the education system, the healthcare system, the world. And these are the things that I have done and the things that I'm doing about it. Okay. So those three things. Here's a helpful tip for you as you are getting started before we move into the building phase. McDonald's, the huge corporation, started as just a hamburger and fries. That's it. And from there, it has grown into a multi-billion-dollar global empire of a giant menu of so many things. I can't even list them all. So keep in mind that you might just be getting started. You are at the hamburger and fries phase of your program, and it will build and it will grow as long as you are following your passion and you are really making thoughtful, smart decisions so that you're staying balanced and not burning yourself out. Okay. So after you get started, then we got to launch into the building phase. And the building phase for me, I mean, I don't think the building phase ever ends, to be honest, but I think the main building phase for me was for my first 3 years as a title holder. My first three titles that I held, I was building it the entire time. So my first year, I did a lot of community outreach. I did a lot of speaking, but I was also speaking very specifically about different types of drugs, signs and symptoms of drug use, just like the very like almost clinical, old school prevention type approach. And I did that for a couple of years until I realized, like, in year two of this platform, I had built it. I was still doing my presentation. I was now building up some partnerships, but I was also burning myself out because I was pushing so hard to do all these things, and also feeling like an imposter because I was not an expert on drug addiction. I did not go get any certification or licensing on the diagnosis or treatment of addiction. I certainly didn't have any experience in actual, like, educated prevention. I was just like Google searches. That's all it was like me taking a high school presentation that was graded by a teacher and bringing that out to the community. And I knew as I got older and I was in my first and second year of college that it just wasn't cutting it anymore. And I was burning myself out because I wasn't really feeling like I knew as much of what I was talking about as I really wanted to. And people would ask me questions and I just didn't feel very confident about my answers. So here I'm questioning my own credibility on the topic. I also think that I started shifting to what I warned against doing in the first part of getting started, which is not picking a topic that you think the judges will like. And I think my second year back at Miss Wisconsin, I think I started leaning too heavily into being impressive. And I know, like, I think I've shared about that a little bit on the show before. Like, my second year at Miss Wisconsin, it was just not my best year. I learned a lot. I grew a lot because I walked into it so overconfident, yet also doing all the wrong things of comparing myself to others, worrying about the outcome, being fixated on the pageant instead of the big picture, all the things. So that was another reason I think that I was burning out, because I just wasn't really following my passion anymore. And then I think lastly, the number one reason for me that I was burning out on the topic was because I really hadn't done enough healing. I was using my platform of drug use prevention and awareness as like a coping mechanism and a mask, saying like, this is my healing, this is my grieving, this is my outlet for this is my ability to connect with my brother, after he died, even because we didn't have a relationship before. And in hindsight, like, looking at all of that, that's what was burning me out, was that it wasn't actually a healthy coping mechanism. I wasn't actually healthy. I wasn't healing. And I was just pushing myself and running myself into the ground, trying to promote this this initiative, this platform, I do think that I did some really powerful things with my platform that year, even though I could tell, looking back, I can tell like it was fading out. Which brings me now to point number three, which is that it's okay to adjust or to slightly change or completely change and go a completely different new direction for your initiative. I did that, and it was the best decision that I could have made. So, after 2 years of promoting drug use prevention and awareness for my platform and doing some really cool stuff with it, but then also running myself into the ground, I decided to switch platforms. Ultimately, I decided because my mom gave me permission. And not that I needed permission, but I do think I needed somebody to say, it's okay. Like, set down this torch that you've been running with for 3 years now, 2 years of competing, but I had been talking about it for 3 years at that point. My brother's story, that is. She said, set down this torch. You're tired. It's okay to focus on you, to focus on something else that you're interested in. Living out this tragedy that happened to us doesn't have to be your entire life, and it's not your job to save the world. And I struggled with processing that a little bit, but it did feel like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders. So I pivoted. I more than pivoted. I completely changed my initiative. I went in a completely different direction and launched a platform of empowering women, mind, body, and soul. And the reason I chose this platform was because, as my mom reminded me, I had always been about women's empowerment, even before high school, before I even knew what feminism or empowering women meant. I was always this really strong willed young girl, always going up against the boys, always wanting to arm wrestle with them, always arguing that girls were just as strong as boys. And then in college, I started taking classes in women and gender studies. And that is when I really fell in love with feminism ideologies and empowering women and just learning and growing in that arena and wanting to help others do the same thing. Of course, pageantry, the Miss America organization, and specifically the women mentors that I had at the local level as a title holder were huge, hugely influential in my insights into empowering other young women. So I launched Empowering Women, Mind, Body, and Soul. I launched a scholarship program. I raised funds and distributed scholarships for young women. I had organized an essay competition for these scholarships. I hosted a couple of fundraisers for it. And that was my third year going back to Miss Wisconsin. I competed with that platform. And I chose that platform specifically because it inspired me and it motivated me. And I was so excited about it. And I went into Miss Wisconsin that year for so many different reasons, from the mentorship that I received, the coaching that I was starting to invest in, to the change in my initiative, to just being healthy overall and really focusing more on my mental health that year. Going into Miss Wisconsin feeling better than I had ever felt in my life, felt like everything was leading me there. And that's when I was first runner up. And I was first runner up to Laura Kepler, who went on to win Miss America 2015. And then I was able to take over as Miss Wisconsin. So my first round as Miss Wisconsin, my platform was completely different than the platform that I won with, which I'm going to get to here in terms of what I brought to the table as Miss Wisconsin 2011 was empowering women, mind, body, and soul. And I was able to just have so much fun with that and just followed my instincts. And I really didn't do like a whole lot of actual planning that year as Miss Wisconsin. It was such a whirlwind. So sometimes it's like you put together this whole big plan and then it just kind of falls apart because there's just so much thrown at you that you don't expect, which again, it brings me back to like, it's really okay to pivot. It's okay to really take a sidestep. It's okay to take a break from initiative stuff to focus on other things. It's just okay to take a break. Give yourself some grace. You have nothing to prove to anyone. The whole purpose behind community service initiatives and platform work like this is for us, you, me, everyone else, to have an opportunity to do something that they love and to make something incredible out of it. That being anything that you're passionate about, whatever initiative or platform that you speak on, Like, it's just your opportunity to share your heart. Outside of that, like, that's it. There's no other real reason for the community service work that we do other than for you to show up with this thing on your heart and on your mind to share with the world and to try and make a difference. The point of the community service initiative isn't for you to change the world, it's for you to change yourself and for you to grow so that you can continue to contribute as an incredible citizen and member of society. So take the pressure off. I know that there's always this like big, we need to be able to talk so well about it and present it to the judges in a way that they can see that we have a plan. And yes, we talk about that a lot in Fearlessly Authentic too, because it's good to be prepared for all things. But when it actually comes down to it, do what you can, do what you're passionate about, follow your instincts, and pivot when you need to pivot, take a break when you need to take a break. You can't do more for others if you're not doing enough for yourself to take care of yourself. So, best decision that I could have made, best advice my mom could have given me at the time, that was to take a step away from Tyler's story and talk about something else for a while. Whew. So, the next step, I've already been talking about it, but that is follow your passion and release the rest. So I followed my passion. I launched Empowering Women, Mind, Body, and Soul. I took over as Miss Wisconsin for Laura Kepler in 2011 and 2012, gave up my title that year, had a whirlwind of an experience, one that I do not regret, would never give up for anything. And even though it was so difficult at times, like it was still so worth it to me. I took a break from competing. I just needed to reset. I needed to be Raeanna again. I wanted to finish my degree. So I went back to school and finished my degree in communication studies and double majored in women and gender studies. Go figure. And then I decided I was going to come back and compete again. I knew I had already decided that. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I always knew that I was going to come back and compete for my chance to go to Miss America. But I ultimately was like, yes, I'm doing it. There's no doubt in my mind, final decision. But I was feeling uneasy about empowering women, mind, body, and soul. It just felt like if this was going to be the end of my journey in Miss America, that final year, whether I won or lost at Miss Wisconsin, I really wanted to bookend it with the same level of passion and purpose that I started with. And I really felt like I would be doing myself and my brother and my story a disservice if I didn't go back to talking about my brother. And so I brought it to my mom. I talked to her about it a little bit because she had launched, and I think after 5 years or so, dissolved a nonprofit that she called Tyler's Legacy. And it was all about educating the community and providing support for family members who had experienced a similar loss as ours. So I asked her if it would be okay if I used the title of Tyler's Legacy for my platform that year, that final year. And I was shifting my whole approach. It was not about trying to prevent kids from using drugs by telling them how bad they are for you and warning about the warning signs and the negative effects and showing all the scary before and after pictures. It wasn't about that. I wanted to talk about something that I deeply knew and deeply understood, and that was my story, my experience losing Tyler, my older brother, when I was 15. I was the second of 7 kids, and we were all obviously completely unprepared for such a loss. And then for me to navigate and help my mom with the younger kids and navigate my grief and go through all the experiences that I did with my own mental health struggles of depression, anxiety, self-harm, suicidal thoughts, and suicide attempt. I wanted to bring that to the forefront. And I was at a space and a place in my life that I was okay doing that. So I talked to my mom about this new approach, and she gave me her blessing. She was concerned, and rightfully so. But I was determined that if I was going to get this platform of Miss Wisconsin for a year, I needed to be talking about my story and knowing that being vulnerable and sharing that story is the most powerful thing that I could have done with that title. So I followed my passion. I really released the expectations of myself and released any fear of what others would think of me or say about me. And to be honest with you, I did have people that were saying that I was using my brother's story to win a pageant. And that was one of the most painful things that I could have experienced, because unless you've experienced such a loss, like, you can't understand like why it's such a difficult thing to continue talking about. You're not going to do it to win a pageant. Like, man, I would have to be just, I don't know. Like, there are a lot of different psychological issues that people face out there. And the one that's coming to mind is like narcissism. Like, I would have to just be a narcissist to do that and not have any emotion about it. But the truth is I had a lot of struggle with it. It was not easy to talk about my brother over and over again. And in fact, I did not do enough to take care of myself that year while I was doing that and representing the Miss Wisconsin organization and preparing for and competing at Miss America, and then coming home from Miss America with disappointment and regret. Like, everything that was compounded into that year, like, it wasn't about to just go out there and tell my brother's story just to win a pageant. I truly, truly believed that the work that I was doing had the power to help others. And I learned so much about it in the process as well. Vulnerability begets vulnerability. So if we go back to the beginning of you figuring out what topic do you want to choose for your initiative, for your platform, for your community service, you have to dig deep. What is your why? You also have to know that you are in a space that if it's something rooted in trauma, that you are healthy enough and have enough skills to be able to do it for the long term. And that is where I faltered in the beginning. I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the healing under my belt. I didn't have the support that I needed behind me in professional therapy and even medication. I didn't have that to back me up. So I burnt out, switched gears, best decision I could have made, switched gears again. Yet I still didn't learn from the first time and really didn't back myself up with enough support to continue my journey throughout the entire year and being healthy while doing it. So I have a lot of regret about that, but I also will never, ever regret picking up Tyler's legacy and running with it that year as Miss Wisconsin. I have so much to celebrate and be proud of. So that brings me to the final point of today, which is celebrating your success. I love looking back on my journey and seeing everything that led me here. I was just having a conversation with a client today who's heading into state competition and said, what has happened in the last 365 days that has led you to feeling as calm and grounded as you do right now? And it was such a fun conversation to have, because it wasn't just all the cool stuff. It wasn't all the amazing, awesome things that happened and came to fruition during the last 365 days. It was all of the things that challenged her and helped her grow in so many ways that she can now see will only prepare her for success, whether that's with the crown or without. So when I look back at my journey of my platform work, my community service, the things that I was able to accomplish, and the places where I struggled and maybe even fell down, it all led me right here. In celebrating success, we enjoy the humble confidence and the successes, the lessons learned from all of the setbacks and the pivoting. So when I say we're enjoying with humble confidence, that means like we can look and see that it wasn't perfect, and we can fully wholeheartedly admit that it wasn't perfect. We can also admit how much we relied on other people to help us do the things that we were able to do and be so grateful for that. And then we can also admit that, yeah, like mistakes were made and it wasn't perfect. And look at all that awesome stuff I did, despite anything that got in my way. That was something that I struggled to do for the longest time. And I really want every one of you to start practicing that on a regular basis. Look at what you have to celebrate in your life and be proud of yourself for the things that you've accomplished. I think so often for all of us high achievers, we are looking at the things that we want to do and the things that we haven't done and the things that we dropped the ball on. And that's where we focus all of our time and energy. I want to shift our mind's eye to the things that did go well, the things that we did succeed at, and the ways that we learned and grew throughout the process. It's so important to celebrate those things. It doesn't make you egotistical. It doesn't make you overconfident. To humbly sit back and be grateful for and celebrate the successes and the wins along the way. It's actually going to elevate you that much more and give you that much more confidence and push and drive and motivation and momentum to continue moving forward. I think finally, like the biggest thing that I celebrate is seeing how one thing led to another, and that led to another, that led to another, and how it always worked out. It always worked out in the end. How many times I felt like I was failing because I decided to give up my first platform and move into empowering women, mind, body, and soul. Like felt like I was letting myself and everyone else down because I couldn't keep up with it. But it led into this other opportunity to explore a different passion that I had and different skill sets of fundraising and providing scholarships, things that I was not doing with Tyler's legacy. And then looking at the combination of all of those experiences and how it all supports me today in everything that I'm doing. Like, I am not kidding. It is incredible how much I can look back after a week's work is done and see how drug use prevention and awareness supported me in my week of work, or empowering women, mind, body, and soul supported me during my week of coaching and work, or how Tyler's legacy helped me really dive deeper into my own vulnerabilities so that I can connect with people. Or, going from one job to the next, to the next, to the next, until I ultimately burnt out, ended up hospitalized for mental health. And then a few months later, launched my own business that I now love. It's literally just, I look back at all the things that were awesome and all the things that were horrible and traumatic, and how it led me to right where I am sitting here talking to all of you right now. And I so want for each of you to feel that wherever it is that you are. If you are in a high point right now and you're feeling so successful, see how that is leading you towards so much more in your future. See how the setbacks actually led you to this success. If you're in a low point, see how you've been successful in the past. See how you've also had low points in the past and how you've overcome them. And that in the future, this low point that you're experiencing right now is going to propel you forward towards more success and more excitement and beautiful things left to come in your life. So I want for all of you listening to hear my words. Know that it was not perfect for me. It was incredibly challenging. I struggled a lot. I still have rough days, but everything just kind of leads into another beautiful thing. And it doesn't matter how long that darkness is, just sit with it, stay there, keep moving, whether that's forward or side to side, but don't move back. Just keep moving. So some of the wins that I like to celebrate with my year as Miss Wisconsin, especially when I'm, looking back with any kind of regrets or struggling, the things that I said I was going to do, and even the things that I didn't think I would do, but I did because I kept myself open-minded and followed my passion. Like the collaborations with different state and national programs. So cool. Some of the best experiences that I had that helped me professionally and personally. National media coverage, especially when I was at Miss America, that was really fun. I may not have been a semifinalist or won any special awards, but that is one thing I'm really proud of. That when I set out to compete in the Miss America organization, my goal was to reach as many people as possible with my message. And I was able to do that on a national level at Miss America. Like that truly is the dream. I was able to speak to thousands, probably tens of thousands of students, educators, and community members, sharing my own vulnerable experiences of loss and grief and mental health struggles. Within those presentations, had the most vulnerable and transparent conversations that I'm going to carry with me forever, because there would be students lined up in the auditorium waiting to speak with me one-on-one after my presentation, sharing things with me that they may have never even said out loud before. I had opportunities to walk with students to the guidance counselor's office to help them get support that I received when I was in high school, that if it wasn't for someone really continuing to encourage me to go get that support, I probably wouldn't have had, and I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. So the privileges that I had within that experience are truly worth all of the setbacks that I ever had. And that sounds so cliche to say, but maybe I'm just feeling especially sentimental right now in this conversation. But I think, it's important to follow your heart, but please remember that, like, I wholeheartedly don't believe that things happen to us for a reason. I think things happen to us and we create a purpose out of it. I will never, ever believe that Tyler died for some bigger purpose, that it was meant to be for him to struggle so deeply with mental health, addiction, and be in that dark space to choose to not live anymore, that was on purpose. I will never believe that that was in some major plan. But what I did with it was I took the plan for me to prosper and used that tragedy to create prosperity from it. I use the power within me to do that. And I think that's something that I want everyone to truly remember, that things don't happen to you for a reason, because that's really painful to hear, especially if you're in a horrible spot right now. Things don't happen to you for a reason. Things happen, and we get to choose what we do with it. We get to choose when we do something with it, if we do something with it, how we do something with it, why we do something with it. That's all within our choice. And it's not up to anybody else to decide that for you. Nobody else should influence your decisions around that. That should all be truly within your own heart. Everyone's going to walk their own path. We can choose to walk with each other or not. And we're all going to end up okay, because everything's always working out, no matter where the path leads you. So, with that, my friends, I hope that this gave you a lot to chew on. There's a lot to think about when it comes to your community service initiative, but take a little bit of the pressure off and just follow what makes you passionate. Because the second that it's no longer fun, and by fun, I mean something that drives you, something that you're passionate about, something that fills your cup, something that makes you feel like you are part of something so much bigger than yourself. If it is no longer that for you, stop doing it. Please stop doing it. It's just not worth it. I promise you it's not. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change, but always remember your why. Always, always, always remember why you're doing it, and that you're not doing it to impress anyone else or to win a crown. You're doing it because it is something you really, truly believe in and you enjoy and that you're passionate about and that you can create incredible change from. So, all right. With that, happy birthday, big brother. I'm so grateful for you. I love you. Wish you could be here and see where we've all ended up, all of your siblings. I know you're watching us, but it'd be better if you were here with us. So happy birthday. And to the rest of you, I love you all so much. Thank you for listening to me. I'm sorry that Lila was not with me to join in this conversation today, but appreciate you sticking with it. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear like what you're passionate about. Feel free to reach out to us, DM us, even set up a call with me if you want to talk with me more one-on-one about your own initiative or things that you've got going on in pageant prep. Would be happy to set up a consultation with you and just chat and see where we can take it. So, my summer's starting to open up, you guys. Miss America state competitions are all going to be wrapping up here in a little bit, and I'm gonna be available for more of y'all to come along and for us to get to work. So, stay well, my friends. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time. Bye. If you aspire to be as confident and accomplished as the women we talk to on this show, then this exclusive opportunity is tailor-made for you. I'm offering a complimentary, fearlessly authentic coaching consultation designed specifically for women like yourself. Have you ever compared yourself to others or worried you're not good enough? Do you get nervous about public speaking and always second guess the things you've said? I've been there myself and have helped countless women conquer their private interview and onstage question, feel confident on and off stage, showcase their authenticity and purpose, and ultimately win the title of their dreams. In the Fearlessly Authentic Coaching Program, you will develop award-winning interview skills, transform your platform, become a public speaking expert, overcome self-doubt, comparison, and imposter syndrome, and be 100% prepared to not only win, but to succeed with your dream title, whether that's local, state, national, or even global. Don't let doubt or hesitation hold you back any longer. Take the first step toward your success and sign up for your complimentary, no obligation coaching consultation today. Simply visit fearlesslyauthenticoach.com/consultation and reserve your spot. Remember, your journey to greatness begins with a single decision. Join the ranks of empowered women who dare to be fearlessly authentic. Thank you so much for listening, and here's to the confident, unstoppable you.